Toastmasters that are gathered here today. Soundlessness of a broken heart. There is peace in the morning, waking up to the meadow's grass as the fingers reach up towards the sky and the daisies drip with frost. We look forward to seeing the spine of the mountains receive the early light, and we're touched by the warmth of the sun, which dances upon our face. How wonderful it is to take a canoe ride in the evening down a river, and the water is laying down like glass, and you're able to have a certain amount of peace and contentment. What about valleys that you've traversed through? They are full of pine trees reaching up towards the sky, and there's a rivulet that's running through. In the back of your mind, you hear a crystal song, which is sung by peaceful waters. We've all been there, we've seen it, and we've experienced it. Those are times in which we say to ourselves, I wish this precious moment would just last a bit longer. Can I stay here? Can I dwell here? Can this continue on for a certain amount of time? Wow, what joy, what peace, what kind of natural love and harmony which brings our hearts together and causes it to swell with contentment. Someone called it tranquility, and I'm kind of satisfied with that word, tranquility. But I'd like to share with you today and look at life out of a different set of lenses, and look at life as it is for most people that must travel this road. That's not how it is for most. Life is full of varying degrees where we sway in the wind, and the pendulum swings from left to right. We can never tell when the pendulum is going to stop swinging. I've looked at history itself. Most people that have walked the crust of the ground are not recorded in history. The sands of time have wiped their steps away and removed them from the pages of memory. Sometimes the winds blow. Sometimes gale force winds blow, and we can never tell where they're come from or where they're going to end up. And when those times come, I'm not talking about natural winds that we hear on the outside. I'm talking about the winds that happen deep on the inside. And when it happens, trees snap, foundations are altered, and we're made to stand the test or go floundering and adrift. Sometimes we end up without having an aim or motivational force strong enough to say, go forward. We're made to stand the test, doing our best just to survive to the next 5 minutes, tossed like a flea from degree to degree. Those are periods in which time laughs at the face of seasons, and viciousness begins baring its ugly teeth, and tension floods the gates of sensibility. And if perchance you have not been there, maybe there are a few people walking the ground that have not been to this place, Just keep on living. Just keep on living. I'm reminded of a story in Look magazine when I was about maybe 18 or 19 years of age and the Vietnam War was going on. And we were heavily engaged and entrenched in that war, and our nation at large, if you can remember, was full of tension and uprising. But I remember looking at Look magazine, and on this road through some city and village in Vietnam was a little girl that was running down the road, and her arms were outstretched, and there were many travelers behind her. And our planes had just flown in and dropped napalm. And what I found out later as an adult, that this little girl's flesh had melted from her body. I remember seeing pictures of babies in war-torn zones, that little babies that are left alone as the planes fly over and they're dropping bombs, and the little baby is sitting there, and when the bomb drops, the baby shudders. But there's no one there to give the baby relief or any sense of comfort close to the heart. Sometimes there's just a sudden impact which comes, and the end result is a certain sense of lostness. What intrigued me about this Vietnamese girl, as I looked at her picture, and I saved the magazine for many years and don't know what happened to it, but what I remember most about her is that I could not hear her heart. I could see her face. I beheld the tension upon her face from afar as I was in my bedroom in Seattle, comfortable, well-fed, well-parented, and looking forward to going to college. But I saw the tension on her face. But again, I could not hear what was going on in her heart. And there are others living among us, believe it or not, even here in Yakima and in Grant County, across the United States, and certainly around the world, that when impacts come, they have to walk through this darkness without any noise. It's not audible. In hushed tones, they experience the dark valleys of life. And in the midst of that, I must admit that there's brokenness that happens, where life is fragmented and things fall into disrepair. And as I'm looking on your faces today, something tells me that I'm in touch, and you are in touch with certain elements of what I am saying here in my speech. What takes place in the mind brings about more tension than the actual incident itself. You would think that the things that happen on the outside are what's most important. But in reality, psychology and ministers and people in the know tell us that it's not what happens on the outside, but what happens in the heart that matters the most, not only with me, but with all of us. Brings about a certain set of tension, where again I refer to trees snap And I'm not talking about a sapling. I'm talking about a tall oak that snaps in the face of it all. And misery knocks at the door, uninvited. It knocks at the door of bravery and says, set an extra place at the table. I'm here to stay for a while. The parameter of our existence has been invaded. Someone has crossed the line into our personal space and gotten close enough that they can touch our hearts. We might as well say that the walls have been breached. You can't even think if someone twisted your arm to cry out, "Uncle!" But there you are, in the midst of all. Listen quick and be careful. Each one of us has a tailor-made test that is designed specifically for our life. Where it comes from, I don't know. But I know that there are tests that I have been through. I think there are tests that all of us have been through. That from somewhere that they're tailor-made and designed specifically for us. At the same time, resources of recovery can either be external or certainly, if the ability is there and the goal is there, resources of recovery can actually come from that heart which was broken. But in all of us, these resources which bring about recovery are in seed form. They don't come fully developed. They're in seed form, in which we must go about and locate, knowing that if the seed is buried, that in time it'll bring about renewed strength to the heart, to the mind, and to the will to go forward. Each one of us have a bag that we must carry. What's in your bag? I don't know. How heavy your bag is? I don't know. But I know that there is a bag that I must carry upon my shoulder. For this little girl that was in Vietnam, who was on this path, the day before yesterday, everything was okay, although they're a war-torn zone. Her bag at that time, her bag of rocks, was napalm and being dislocated from the village that she had grown up in. So I asked the question today, what's yours? What's your bag of rocks? Now, let's turn the corner a bit. Each of us are survivors. I know that you are a survivor because you are here today. And the mere fact that you are here today and crafting the ability to speak and to share with others verbally and with conviction where you've come from and where you can go if possible tells me that there's a reservoir of strength that you have tapped into to cause you to be able to stand. Although trees do snap and zigzag lightning plays within our life at midnight, when sleep sits over in the corner and refuses to serve us, the paramount issue is, can you tell your story? That story which says to another, ideas and opportunities are bigger than the life that you are currently living. Let me say that again, that ideas and opportunity are bigger than the life that you're living. By the way, that girl in Vietnam, you may want to know what happened to her. She lives in Canada now, recovered through many surgeries, has gone on with her life, and is now lecturing in the United States, in Europe, and in Canada about the resilience of life and the ability to bounce back. There's a spider web hanging in our backyard, and I noticed that spider web that was there for many days, and the spider was building, so I was watering the garden, and I put water on that spider web, and the spider would ball up, and when I stopped spraying, he'd go about building again, but he'd ball up, build, ball up, and build. How often do we have to ball up and then come out and start building again? Do you have resources? Do you have a reservoir? What well of untapped strength awaits your discovery? You can be fueled by an untapped source of strength that lies just underground. The first president of the Salvation Army said one time, as he was laying in his bed, supposed to be at the convention, his assistant asked him, "Can you come down to the floor? The delegates want to hear you." He said, "I'm just too sick. I cannot come." He said, "Well, what do you want me to tell them?" He said, "There's only one word that I want you to share with the delegation. There's only one word I want you to leave with the convention hall tonight." He said, "What is that?" And the word was others. Others. Resiliency. The spider went forward and built its web. The girl in Vietnam survived. The challenge is before us. The beachhead is wide. Will you step forward, or will you acquiesce? Come on in the waters. It's just fine. Madam Toastmaster.